Is Endtime Signals by Dark Tranquillity an improvement over their last album, Moment, from 4 years ago? That is the video topic for today. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the problems with the album Moment from 4 years ago, and then we'll look at the new album, Endtime Signals, and we'll find out what they did differently or why it's a better album. And then I'll give you my final thoughts and score at the end. Let me start talking about Moment. That was released on November 20th, 2020. I remember this album very well because my channel was still very new. It was only up for about 2 months, and at the time of the release, I did a review of it, and I'll post that at the end of the video. I remember I didn't like it that much, and to be honest, I haven't really listened to it that much in the past 4 years, but I remember it had a lot of problems, so I went back and I gave it another listen, and I did like another quick analysis, and I came up with a few reasons why the album Moment wasn't that good. I think the main problem with Moment was that it was just forgettable. There weren't many songs that stood out, and I just felt the music was generic, and there weren't many moments, no pun intended, where I would say, yeah, it's a great song. So another problem with Moment was there was like a sameness throughout the album. I felt it was very formulaic. They went from the melodic parts to the synth, then to the heavy parts, and they just repeated that over and over throughout the album. I think on my original review, I compared it to 80s New Wave, but in the end, it was kind of a boring album. So now let's talk about Endtime Signals, because that's what you came here for.
We are just passing by, no guidance.
So this is their 13th studio album, released by Century Media Records. The band went through some changes in the 4 years since Moment. One of them was that they got 2 new members who were bassist Christian Jansen and drummer Joachim Strandberg and Nielsen. Sorry if I butchered that. And they replaced the longtime members Anders Ehlers and Anders Givarp after the latter two left the band in August of 2021. Then in 2023, guitarist Christopher Amott left the band. So on this album, the band recorded as a 5-piece, whereas the previous album Moment was recorded as a 6-piece. I don't know if that made much of a difference, but it may be the case of too many cooks in the kitchen. Now let's talk about the songs on this new album. I think in general, the album is pretty solid. It has its stronger parts and weaker parts, but in general, everything is good. I would say the album has a very strong start. The first 4 songs are really good. So for example, the opening track, Shivers and Voids, just brings back that classic sound. There are aggressive vocals. You can hear the guitars up front. The keyboards are a little bit more in the background. The vocals are more melodic in the chorus. It has those chunky guitar riffs that I like, and the atmospheric breakdown. This one is probably more of a traditional sounding song, and it goes into Unforgivable. It has some faster and heavier parts as well as some slow sections. I like the bass guitar sound in this one, and I like the machine gun riffing. I read a review of from the Angry Metal Guy site, and he compared it to the album Fiction, and I can see that because Fiction is actually one of my favorite albums by the band. So that was another good track, and on the third track, Neuronal Fire, it's another one that's a bigger song. So it's more epic, it has the keyboards in the forefront, it has a very distinct guitar tone, it's atmospheric. And I read another review from Metal Injection where the author said that the clean vocals on this reminded him of Mikael Åkerfeldt of Opeth. And I can hear that mostly in the second half of the song. And we get to the middle of the album, and it takes like a little bit of a dip, but I'm not saying it's bad. It's just that these songs are not as good as like the first 3. So we have Drowned Out Voices. It's a heavier track with some keyboard sounds, and then The Last Imagination, that was a single. Pretty cool song, and a slower atmospheric intro with the faster riffs and the harsh vocals. I like that one, but Metal Injection called that one a mid-tier track. And then there was Enforced Perspective, which I felt was a little heavier and had more of a traditional death metal sound. And then the song Our Disconnect, which is the longest song, that was 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and it was like a spacey, atmospheric song. So that's what I liked about it. But I think the fact that most of the songs are between 3 and 4 minutes on this album, and this particular one was a little longer than the other ones, That made it drag like a little bit, but otherwise it's not too bad. Now, you're probably noticing that I skipped a song, and I did it on purpose because it's a song that's right in the middle of the album called One of Us Is Gone. It's a slow, emotional, gothic type of song, mostly clean vocals. You have the haunting piano, the violins, some nice double bass drumming in the harder parts. I think they put the song in the middle for a reason. It kind of gives you a break from that melodic death metal sound, and it's a softer ballad, and it's not the only ballad on the album. There's another one, which is the last song, called False Reflection, another ballad that reminded me of the band Catatonia or Evergrey. There are two more songs towards the end of the album. I didn't talk about it yet, so they are some of the strongest tracks. And the first one is Wayward Eyes. It was a little slower, a little bit more psychedelic, some spacey parts, but there's something unique about this song. It just has this nice balance of heaviness and melody. And the other song is A Bleaker Sun. And I felt that one was more of a traditional death metal song. Again, it was faster, heavier, darker. It still had the melodic parts, but still very good. So, in conclusion, as I said before, it's much better than the previous album Moment, and I think that is because I think they're doing a little bit more. I think they're going a little bit back to their older style a little bit, but I think they're trying to add a little more variety and give you better songs. It's basically they're giving you better songs, possibly their best album since Fiction, although I do need to revisit all the albums to make that determination, but it's a good return to form. That's what I'm trying to say. So it doesn't reach the highs of some of the earlier albums, but nobody's expecting them to do that. But I'm glad I did a full review of this. I know lately I usually do short reviews, but I decided to give this one the full video because I thought it would be worth it. My score is an 8.5 out of 10. Strong album. It's worth checking out, and one of the better ones. So check out my review of Moment. Keep in mind, it's one of my first videos I ever recorded, so the production and quality is going to be kind of wonky, but that was me 4 years ago. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Please like this video. Helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews and rankings and more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.